Please like this video and subscribe. I really want to reach my first 1,000 subscribers. Thank you. Before I get into this, let me frame what this story is really about because it's not just marriage drama. It's about the moment you realize respect isn't slipping by accident. It's being removed on purpose. And when that starts happening, the worst thing you can do is negotiate your dignity like it's a coupon. This is the kind of situation where calm decisions beat emotional speeches. You'll hear how a public jab wasn't a joke, how the next day sorry was just damage control, and how control always shows up right after someone tests your limits. The practical focus here is simple: how to spot the early signals, how to set a boundary without begging, and how to change the rules fast enough that you don't become the convenient background character in your own life. Olivia leaned over the table on a rooftop in Austin, glass in hand, and said it like she was doing me a favor. Honestly, I could have been with someone better. Michael's just not my level. No es mal, no plafelton. Just that little look of victory on her face, like she expected applause foretelling the truth. The table froze. Forks paused midair. Somebody's laugh died halfway out of their throat. Ryan, my oldest friend in that group, blinked like he misheard her. "Are you serious?" he snapped. "It's his birthday." Olivia waved him off like he was a waiter who brought the wrong side dish. "Oh my God, relax. It's a joke. He's too sensitive." I stared at her for a second, not because I was confused, but because my brain was filing the moment away like evidence. I set my napkin down. "Calm. Slow. That's not a joke," I told her. "That's a public hit. And you said it like you practiced." Olivia's eyes narrowed. "Don't start. You're dramatizing." I looked around the table. A couple people avoided eye contact. One of Olivia's friends stared into her drink like it had answers. I nodded once. Got it. And that was it. No scene. No raised voice. No begging for an apology. I stood up, pushed my chair in, and walked away from my own birthday dinner like I was stepping out of a meeting that had gone off track. Behind me, I heard Ryan mutter, "Unreal." I didn't turn around. If I'd known where it was headed, I would have left that rooftop even faster. Not angry, just aware. The party tried to keep breathing without me. It didn't work. People lingered for 10 minutes out of politeness, then started peeling off in awkward clusters. Nobody wanted to toast again. Nobody wanted to pretend it was fine. Olivia sat there like a queen who declared something and expected the room to kneel. When I got to the parking garage, my phone buzzed. "Olivia, where are you going?" I typed back one line. "Michael, home." She called. I let it ring. I wasn't punishing her. I was changing access. At the townhouse in the suburbs, I walked in, set my keys in the bowl, and did something I hadn't done in years. I slept in the guest room without asking permission from the atmosphere in my own house. The next morning, she tried to slide it under the rug with the softness of a cat burying something it killed. "Olivia, I'm sorry if I went too far. You know how I get when I drink. Sorry if. That's not accountability. That's a request for you to shut up politely." I didn't respond. At around noon, another message popped up. Not from her. Grace. Grace was Olivia's college friend. The one who always showed up at gatherings with a calm smile and sharp eyes. Not a gossip. Not a performer. The kind of woman who doesn't talk a lot, but when she does, it's clean and direct. "Grace, last night was rough. If you want to talk, I'm here. No pressure." I stared at it longer than I expected to. I replied with the truth, short. "Michael, thanks. I don't know what to say." "Grace, coffee. Neutral place. I'll buy." I set the phone down and went back to work emails, because that's what I do when my life tries to turn into a reality show. I refuse to audition. That evening, Olivia moved around the kitchen like everything was normal. She made eggs. She put a plate down in front of me like we were in a commercial. Then she watched me glance at my phone. Her voice went sweet in that way that isn't sweet. "You're on your phone a lot today. Who are you texting?" I chewed slowly, swallowed, and looked at her. "You're not in a position to interrogate me." She blinked like I'd broken an unwritten rule that said husbands must explain themselves on demand. "So I can't ask questions in my own house." "Our house," I corrected. "And after last night, don't try to act like you're the injured one." Olivia set her fork down with a little clink. She leaned back. "You really want to punish me over one stupid comment?" I didn't take the bait. "I'm not punishing you. I am adjusting." "Adjusting what?" Access, I said. Donne. Expectations. All of it. She let out a laugh that tried to sound casual. You're being ridiculous. I nodded again, the same way I did on the rooftop. You call me not your level in front of a table full of people. You didn't even flinch. That wasn't a slip. Olivia's mouth tightened. Ryan's dramatic. He made it weird. Ryan didn't say it. Her eyes hardened. There it was. The shift. Okay, she said. So what? You're going to sulk for a week. I stood up, took my plate to the sink, rinsed it, and set in the dishwasher. Then I looked at her. I'm not sulking. I'm observing. That night, she tried the first version of softness. A light touch in the hallway. A quiet, hey, like she wanted to reset without paying for the damage. I didn't pull away dramatically. I just didn't lean in. She noticed. Of course she did. 2 days later, I told her my plan in the simplest possible language. I'm meeting Grace for coffee. Olivia's head snapped up from her phone. You're what? Meeting Grace. She stared like I'd said I was moving to the moon. You're going out with my best friend. She was your best friend? I corrected. Right now, she's just someone who spoke like an adult. Olivia stood up so fast her chair scraped the floor. This is you trying to get back at me. I didn't even smile. If I want to get back at you, I'd play your games. I'm not. I'm just done shrinking so you feel comfortable. Her voice rose. You're making me look bad. You handled it yourself, I replied. She stepped closer, eyes sharp. Tell her not to come between us. I picked up my keys. She's not between us. You are. That was initiative number 1. I stopped negotiating my schedule. I stopped asking for permission to breathe. At the quiet restaurant downtown, the kind of place with low lighting and servers who don't hover, Grace was already there, sitting straight, hands folded, no theatrics. Hey, she said. Hey. I slid into the booth. The menu was open, but neither of us looked at it right away. She didn't start with pity. That's what made me respect her instantly. She said, I'm not here to trash her. I'm here because that was out of line. I let out a short breath. Out of line is a gentle way to put it. Grace's mouth twitched. I'm trying to keep it polite. That's generous, I said. I'm fresh out of generosity. She nodded once. How long has she been talking to you like that? I shrugged. It didn't start like that. It started with little digs. Then it became a sport. Grace stirred her coffee. I noticed. You did. I've known Olivia since we were 19, Grace said. She tests people. If they absorb it, she escalates. I leaned back. So what was that rooftop comment? A test. Grace looked at me straight. It was a declaration that landed hard because it matched what my gut had already filed away. For the first time in a long time, I felt normal sitting across from someone. No tensión. No guessing which version of my wife I'd get. Just a conversation. Grace cracked a small smile. Ryan looked like he wanted to flip the table. I finally laughed. A real laugh, not the polite kind you do to keep peace. Ryan's not subtle. No, she agreed. But he's loyal. We talked about the group, about work, about small harmless things. And the weird part was realizing how much I'd been carrying at home. How much energy it takes to live with someone who keeps you slightly off balance on purpose. Halfway through, I saw Olivia before I heard her. That expensive perfume before the presence. The confident footsteps that said she wasn't walking in. She was invading. She slid into the booth next to Grace without asking. Wow, Olivia said, smiling like this was cute. So this is happening. Grace didn't move. Olivia, Grace said, calm. Olivia turned to her, voice tight. You're really doing this to me? Grace didn't flinch. You humiliated him in front of everyone. Olivia scoffed. Oh my God. It was a joke. Grace's eyes stayed steady. Then why wasn't anyone laughing? Olivia's gaze snapped to me. You're sitting here enjoying this. I lifted my glass slightly. I'm enjoying peace. Her smile cracked. You two aren't even close. We're learning how to speak without cutting each other down. I replied. I forgot what that felt like. Olivia's eyes flashed. She leaned toward me, voice low and sharp. You're trying to replace me. I let that hang for a second. No, I said. I'm refusing to be treated like a prop. She stood up abruptly, the booth shaking. This is pathetic, she snapped. Both of you. Grace didn't raise her voice. Leave, Olivia. Olivia hesitated like she expected me to chase her. To stand. To apologize for her behavior. To manage her emotions like I always had. I didn't move. Olivia's face hardened into something ugly. Then she spun and walked out, pushing the door too hard so it banged. Grace watched her go, then looked at me. She wanted you to follow. I know, and you didn't. I'm tired, I said, and it wasn't a plea. It was a conclusion. Not tired like I need sleep. Tired like I'm done paying for disrespect. That night at home, she tried softness again. Version 2 was more strategic. She had dinner ready. Candles. A gentle voice. Can we reset? She asked. I don't like us like this. I took a seat, looked at the table. This isn't a reset, I said. This is a cover. Her smile tightened. Why do you have to be so cold? I'm not cold, I replied. I'm clear. She reached across the table, fingertips brushing my hand. I love you, she said, too smooth, too timed. I pulled my hand back without drama. Respect first, I said. Love doesn't get to skip that step. Her eyes watered instantly, like a switch. So now I'm the bad guy. I stood up, pushed my chair in. You made that decision on the rooftop. Then I went upstairs and locked the guest room door. After that, the house went quiet in a new way. Not peaceful, tactical. Olivia started living inside her phone, smiling at it, tilting it away from me, taking calls on the porch, suddenly running errands at odd times. When she spoke to me, it was dry. Your laundry's in the basket. Dinner's in the fridge. No worms. No irritation. Just the tone of someone who's keeping a placeholder functional. One afternoon, I got home early. I walked into the bedroom and caught something that didn't belong, a sharp, expensive men's cologne hanging in the air. Not mine. The bed was made too perfectly, like someone had erased a scene instead of cleaning. The window was cracked open. Olivia wasn't home. A younger version of me would have spiraled, would have searched drawers, checked receipts, started a messy confrontation just to feel in control for 5 minutes. I didn't do any of that. I sat on the edge of the bed, looked around, and made a plan. That night at dinner, I said it casually like it was a calendar note. I've got a work trip next week. 2 nights. Won't be home. Olivia barely looked up. Okay. No questions. No where. No want me to pack anything. No curiosity at all. That was the loudest answer she could have given. So I made initiative number 2. I created distance before she could trap me in a story. I rented a small furnished studio for a month. Not forever. Not dramatic. Just a controlled space where my peace wasn't up for debate. I moved essentials, documents, laptop, a couple shirts, my watch box, the things that matter when someone starts treating your home like a shared stage. I did it on a weekday morning. Took half a day off work. Quiet. At my office. My coworker Vince saw me carrying a banker's box. He raised an eyebrow. Spring cleaning. More like reality cleaning, I replied. He chuckled. That bad. It's clear, I said. And clear is easier than messy. Vince didn't pry. He just nodded like a grown man who'd seen enough. You need anything, you call, he said. No speeches. Just a call. Appreciate it. That was my other territory moment. Not a bar fight. Not a dramatic public showdown. Just me handling my life like an adult, with a witness who understood what that meant. Olivia didn't notice the missing items. Or she noticed and didn't care. Either way, it told the same story. A couple nights later, I came home and saw her on the front porch, laughing into her phone. Not her social laugh. Not her performative laugh. A warm laugh. Comfortable. Not for me. She saw my headlights and turned away mid-laugh like she'd been caught holding something stolen. Inside, she went cold again. You're home early, she said. Plans changed, I replied. She watched me like she was recalculating. Then she tried the second big illusion of change, louder and shinier than the first. The next morning, she handed me coffee like we were newlyweds. I've been thinking, she said softly. I've been stressed. I haven't been fair. I took the cup. What changed? She blinked. What do you mean? I mean, yesterday you barely spoke to me. Today you're handing me coffee and trying to look gentle. What changed? Her lips parted, then closed. I just don't want to lose us. I nodded slowly. Then start with the truth. I'm telling the truth, she insisted. I looked at her phone on the counter. Face down, like always now. Okay, I said. Then you won't mind if we stop sharing space while we figure it out. Her softness flickered. What? I'm moving into the studio for a bit, I said. We can talk when it's calm. No more live-in tension. Her face tightened. You're abandoning me. I'm removing myself from disrespect. I corrected. She stepped forward, voice sharper. You can't just leave whenever you feel like it. I sipped the coffee. Watch me. Her eyes narrowed. So Grace convinced you you're some kind of hero now. Grace's name came out like poison. I set the cup down. Grace didn't convince me of anything, I said. You did. On a rooftop. In front of people. Olivia's voice turned slippery. Fine. Go. But don't come crawling back when you realize you overreacted. I smiled once small. I don't crawl. That night, I didn't go to the studio. Not yet. I stayed out in my car a few streets away, in the rain, lights off, engine running low. I wasn't proud of it. I was precise. Around midnight, a dark sedan rolled in slow and confident. No hesitation. No confusión. It parked like it belonged there. A man stepped out, coat on. Moving like this wasn't his first time. He walked straight to my front door, pulled out a key, unlocked it, went inside. That's not a misunderstanding. That's infrastructure. I sat there for a second, watching the porch light flicker against the rain, and all the little pieces clicked into one ugly, clean picture. Then I got out of the car and walked to my house like I was walking into a meeting I'd already decided the outcome of. I didn't knock. I used my key, because it was still my door. Inside, the man was in my entryway, shaking rain off his coat like he owned the place. He looked up, startled, then tried to recover with attitude. Hey, he said, raising his chin. She said you weren't in town. Olivia appeared from the kitchen, holding 2 glasses like she'd been mid-script. Her face changed when she saw me. Not guilt, not sadness. Panic, because the stage lights had turned on. Michael, she started. I looked at the man first. You don't live here, I said. Calm, flat, and you don't speak in my house like you're in charge. He scoffed, but it was weak. Man, shit. It's not. I cut him off with a glance, then turned to Olivia. One question. No speeches. Where did he get the key? Olivia stepped forward, hands tight around the glasses. It's not what you think. I nodded once. That wasn't my question. She swallowed. I gave him a copy. The man shifted his weight like he wanted to look brave again. It was just in case, Olivia added quickly. For safety. For what? I asked. For when I'm inconvenient? Her eyes flashed. You're making this into something it isn't. I looked at the man. Give me the key, I told him. He hesitated. Olivia snapped, don't. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't step toward her. I just held the man's gaze like a grown man addressing another grown man. You walked into a married man's home with a key, I said. You can either hand it over, or you can leave knowing you won't be welcomed back. He stared at me, then pulled the key from his pocket and held it out like it burned. I took it, walked to the kitchen drawer, and dropped it in with the junk mail and old batteries, exactly where it belonged. Then I opened the front door and looked at him. Out. He started to speak. I lifted my hand slightly. No. Out. He left. Fast. The rain swallowed him. Olivia stood there shaking, not from emotion, from losing control. Michael, wait, she said, voice cracking into a softer pitch. We can talk. You're not understanding. I understand perfectly, I replied. You build a parallel life while keeping me as the stable background. Her eyes widened. That's not fair. Fair stopped being part of this a while ago, I said. She stepped closer, reaching for my arm. Don't do this. Don't throw everything away. I moved back half a step, not dramatic. Just clear. I'm not throwing anything away, I said. I'm walking away from what you already broke. Her voice sharpened again because softness wasn't working. So what? You're going to run to that studio and play single. I looked at her, almost amused. You're the one handing out keys. She flinched like I'd slapped her with a fact. I picked up my phone, typed one message, and showed it to her without handing it over. It was a short note to Vince. Need you early tomorrow. Schedule shift. Then I slid the phone back into my pocket. I'm done with games, I told her. Done with pretending. Done with you acting like respect is optional. Olivia's eyes filled again, but her voice stayed sharp. You'll regret this. I grabbed my overnight bag from the closet, already packed because I don't do impulsive exits. I do prepared ones. At the door, I paused and looked back at her one last time. This house was your comfort and your stage, I said. Starting tonight, It's just a building. You don't get my presence as furniture anymore." She opened her mouth to respond. I gave her the final line, calm enough to sting. "Keep the keys you wanted so badly," I said. "You can lock yourself in with your choices." And I walked out. Months later, my life looked cleaner. The studio turned into a new place. Not because I escaped, but because I rebuilt on purpose. I found a small house closer to Austin, the kind with a garage and a yard that doesn't require an apology to exist. My work got better because my head wasn't full of noise. Vince became a real friend instead of just a coworker. Ryan and I started grabbing dinner again without me scanning the room for Olivia's mood. Grace stayed in my orbit too, not as a scandal, not as a headline, just as a solid person who didn't play games. Over time, she introduced me to her friend Natalie, a woman who spoke plainly and didn't treat kindness like weakness. The first time Natalie disagreed with me, she did it with respect, and I realized how low my standards had gotten without me noticing. Olivia? I heard pieces through the same social circle she tried to control. She moved around a lot. New plans every few weeks. Different faces. A lot of performance, not much stability. The kind of life that looks busy but feels empty. And the quiet part nobody says out loud. When you stop being the reliable foundation, people who used you as a foundation start wobbling fast. Here's what I learned, and it's simple enough to carry in your pocket. First, public disrespect is never just a joke when there's no smile behind it. If someone hits you in front of an audience and then tells you you're too sensitive, they're not trying to be funny. They're checking how much you'll tolerate. The right move isn't a loud argument. It's a boundary with consequences. The rooftop wasn't my heartbreak moment. It was my clarity moment. Second, watch what happens after you change the rules. The first apology Olivia sent wasn't about owning the damage. It was about resetting me back into my old role. And when that didn't work, she shifted into control, questions, accusations, pressure. That pattern tells you everything. It's not about connection. It's about leverage. Third, the biggest mistake would have been endless talks and emotional bargaining. That's how you get trapped in circles while the other person builds options. I didn't win by convincing her. I won by acting early, separating space, protecting my basics, and refusing to chase her moods. Respect isn't something you negotiate after it's gone. It's something you require, and if it doesn't show up, you remove yourself from the deal. Calm decisions, clean exits, better life on the other side.